Now, we're going to be live into the next hour, and next hour, I'm going to open the phones up for Mike Adams, the health ranger, who is here in studio with us today. And we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the things he's been seeing down in South America, in Ecuador and surrounding areas. Of course, soldiers in Ecuador have have rescued President Rafael Correa from a police hospital where he was being held by force. The troops opened fire on dissident law enforcement officers. The state of emergency has been declared in the country following police protest against new government austerity measures, which would cut off their benefits. So got the police out there really angry about that. And so you're from down in that neck of the woods. We'll get your take on that as well. And we're going to talk about a whole host of health issues. They're trying to take over the family farms and ranches with legislation, the bombshell issue of saying we're going to put GMO with eel genes and insect genes, got a bunch of varieties. We're going to approve it, and then we're not going to let you have a label on it to know if it's GMO. I mean, that sets the precedent for so much. Mike Adams, good to have you here, buddy.
Hey, it's great to be here, Alex. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
It's great to have you. What brings you to the good old USA, and what's your take on what's happening down in Ecuador?
Well, as you know, I lived in Ecuador on and off for a couple of years. I talked to some of my friends who live in the southern portion of the country. Not a lot has changed in the south, but up in the north, in Quito, where this was taking place, yeah, a lot of action. You got to realize the police there, they're really underfunded. I mean, they're good people, but they're underfunded, and they felt like their benefits were being cut. It felt like an attack to them, and there's a lot of frustration among the population. I talked to taxi drivers down there, for example, and prices are going up and up on everything, the food, the basics that they need, and a lot of that's because of the money, the monetary policy that you cover here.
It's global concerted devaluation.
Absolutely, and it's hitting them hard. Their families are having to make tough decisions, and in some parts of the country, like Guayaquil, which is the largest city, where there's some unrest right now, you know, it's tough for them to make ends meet. And so when the police saw their benefits getting cut, they decided to take some rather radical action that was, of course, you know, illegal under the country. And Correa survived. And now, you know, whatever you think of Correa, he's going to be perceived as a hero.
So I was mispronouncing it as Correa.
Yeah, it's Correa. It's but in any case, he's you know, he's educated in the U.S., graduated from the University of Illinois with a PhD in economics. And
well, it's come out over and over again that a lot of these Asian, Latin American, African leaders are like Goldman Sachs operatives, economic hitmen. What's the case with him?
Well, it's hard to characterize him. I wouldn't say he's an economic hitman, but I would say that there are economic hitmen who are trying to influence him, and he's a hard guy to influence. In fact, he's taken some actions against the U.S. about the military bases, for example. But he also leans a little bit, you know, towards Chavez. So it's hard to say.
The same thing happened to Chavez, Hugo Chavez, back in 2002. 1 month before it happened, Greg Palast of the BBC said, watch, there's about to be a coup. And the military grabbed him, put him on a helicopter to, I guess, trump up charges and put him in prison like Noriega or something. And the military turned back and said, you better bring him right back.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the situation in Ecuador for people living there is really pretty much normal. But at the top, in the capital, this isn't over yet, probably. And you're going to see some more action, political action. You're going to see him clean house throughout the police force. There are going to be arrests. There are going to be, you know, people prosecuted for treason, for sure.
Well, we understand why in our own government, almost all of the actual anti-terror training is for actually military and police officers and stuff. This whole grid, because once you go into a third world type situation, this is what's always happening. So when you look at the Rand Corporation and others, they're designing a system to bring in tyranny, cut the pay of the police, but then basically have purges against them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you start cutting the pay of law enforcement and requiring them to do more work, like, for example, remember when they had post office workers? You're supposed to spy on everybody. You know, they have to do more work, take more risks, report more intel to the government for less pay. You know, they start getting angry about that. And in South America, the police are in some ways a paramilitary force. I I mean, they can set up roadblocks.
Well, they are here now, too. I mean, once your country falls into squalor, that's what happens.
Yes. Yeah. So perhaps what's happening in Ecuador is a precursor to some of what could be going on here in North America in the near future, if people get angry enough. That's my take on it.
Well, Bloomberg reported 46 states on the verge of bankruptcy. And they're already having police layoffs in some cases, more than 60% of major sheriff departments, police departments. And the police are even in the news saying, we've been told just raise revenue. We can't respond if you're being robbed.
Right. And so they go out and start writing more speeding tickets and doing whatever they can to raise revenue. But that's not the point. We need to be stopping the real criminals who, you know, the big criminals are the crooks in Washington, not the people speeding down the road, right? That's who we need to be focusing on in terms of law enforcement. You know, where's the Department of Justice on the big issues that matter?
All right, we're going to go to break in a moment, but I do want to introduce you. Most listeners don't need an introduction, but Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, founded naturalnews.com, an online news source that's huge, covering all areas of personal and planetary wellness from nutrition to renewable energy. He's written thousands of articles and built a following of over 800,000 people across the globe. Mike has also founded a nonprofit organization, the Consumer Wellness Center, an online retail center, Better Life Goods, and the popular publishing company, Truth Publishing. He's produced films, you name it. Mike speaks frequently at national and local gatherings like the Amazon Herb Summit and the Raw Foods Challenge in Los Angeles. Speaking from personal experience and extensive research, Mike has touched the hearts and changed the lives of thousands of people around the world. Adams is a raw foods enthusiast, an organic gardener, and a holistic nutritionist. He eats no processed foods, dairy, sugar, meat from mammals, or food products containing additives such as MSG. He's been called the best health and natural products writer on the scene today and has openly recommended hundreds of health and green living products without any compensation. He adheres to strong ethics code and practices the lifestyle he teaches. I notice he's carrying his own food around with him. He's got a backpack of it. I might get some health just by you being in the room here. Mike has also now made it his life mission to share the most remarkable discovery he made in his quest. The vast majority of all diseases can be easily prevented and even cured without drugs or surgery. Healthranger.org, naturalnews.com. We've got him linked up at Infowars.com. We're going to break in 2 minutes. You're going to be with us for at least another hour, so 30 minutes into the next hour, and we're going to take calls next hour. But what do you want to talk about? Because I've thrown out a lot of issues here, but on your radar, what's most important? What are you going to talk about when we come back on the other side?
Well, number one is the GMO salmon issue. The FDA looks like it's about to approve genetically engineered salmon, and it will not require it to be labeled, which means you won't know if you're buying salmon that has been engineered, that has DNA in it that could be highly allergenic.
Okay, recap that and go into detail when we come back.
Yeah.
What else do you want to cover after that?
Okay, we've got the FTC attacking health freedoms yet again, going after the Palm Wonderful Company, claiming that it's breaking the law by telling the truth about the ways that pomegranate juice can help protect your health. And then we've got the FDA, of course, also going after your freedoms at the same time. We've got Bill Gates trying to tell us that vaccines can be used to reduce the world population. And we've got infant formula, now with beetles in it. It's being recalled. It's made with over 50% sugar. So we have a lot of topics to talk about.
And we're going to wonder why these kids at 10 get diabetes.
Exactly. They're being...
Oh, why is diabetes up 3,000% in the last 10 years? Oh, we're feeding babies half sugar or half... corn syrup. And now, not only do they not want you to label GMO salmon, they're going to call it corn sugar.
Right. High fructose corn syrup, right? The reputation of the ingredient in the gutter, so they're going to change the name, which is essentially a ploy. It's a bait and switch ploy to trick consumers into buying more of this ingredient that I believe is linked to diabetes and obesity.
Well, you believe? I mean, it's literally hundreds of studies.
I think my lawyers told me to say that. I believe in front of everything you say about corn syrup.
Well, I believe I've read hundreds of these major studies all over the news that say that.
You do?
All right, we'll be right back. I believe the sun came up this morning. I believe my hair is dirty blonde. I believe Mike Adams is sitting in that chair.
Don't worry. This show is documented. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns.
Mike Adams with us well into the next hour in studio. All right, I'm going to shut up, Mike. I've got some new news here. U.S. apologizes for infecting Guatemalans with STDs secretly. But let's take the shots the government wants us to take. That's CNN, one of tens of thousands of declassified events. I actually already had seen this out of Australian report admitting the U.S. did this in Asia, everywhere, giving them syphilis, giving them, and of course AIDS was created. That's declassified. The general public doesn't want to face that horror. But you've got the floor. This is a short segment. Let's get into salmon first.
Okay, well, to recap the situation, there's a company that created genetically engineered salmon. It grows twice as fast as regular salmon because it has growth hormone genes that have been inserted in it from other species so that they can grow it quickly and sell it for more profit. Now, the FDA has been hearing about this. They've held a hearing for a couple of days to find out if they think it's safe to allow this into the food supply. So that's the framework here.
And the FDA's full of a revolving door of these scientists.
Oh, yeah, they're not even asking the right questions. They're not really even asking what's the impact on human health or what's the impact on the environment. Let's say if this DNA escapes into the wild. We have genetic pollution that could infect essentially other species.
Well, it's not could. It already is. And in the university studies, 40 generations of this salmon will extinct regular salmon. And I was mentioning specifically the new head of FDA approval is a former Monsanto.
Yeah, this is how it works.
I'm sorry. Just please continue.
No, this is great. This is what's great about being here in person is we can actually banter like this. But you're right. It's a revolving door. Monsanto and the FDA are in bed together, just like the FDA and Big Pharma, and they essentially want to shove this GM salmon down your throat without you having a choice. But the worst part is, again, the FDA says it would be illegal for them to require this salmon to be accurately labeled as genetically modified. They say it would be illegal.
So the law is they got to say corn syrup, they got to say sugar, they got to say, riboflavin, but you don't tell them it's got insect and eel genes, and they got a whole bunch of these.
Right. This is what I call the FDA's campaign of enforced ignorance. They want everybody to be kept in the dark. They want everybody to be nutritionally illiterate. That's why they don't let you tell the truth about vitamins and supplements and how they can help protect your health. They don't want people to know what they're eating, because if they did, they might choose something different. And, this is the really scary part about the whole thing, is this enforced ignorance combined with their censorship, combined with the tyranny tactics that they use to go after these companies, the natural health companies. And we are looking at, statistically, how many Americans have been killed by terrorists, even if you believe the government's story on 9/11? If you throw that into the mix, how many have been killed by terrorists in the last 10 years? It's under, it's probably, 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 Americans killed by terrorists. The FDA, through its lack of action in protecting the American people, has been involved in the deaths of literally hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Well, bad drug interactions every year, it's over 300,000.
Yes, exactly. If you put together what are called iatrogenic deaths, which means death by medicine, when people are killed by medicine or doctors or surgeries that went bad, that number, depending on who you believe, is about 750,000 people a year.
And they've got studies about how the worst diet in the world is in the hospitals.
Exactly. You can buy fast food in the hospitals. Just right after a heart bypass procedure, you can go eat junk food burgers. Nothing like repeat business for the hospitals, right? But the point is the FDA kills indirectly through its lack of appropriate action. It results in the deaths of a huge multiple of the number of people that have been killed by terrorists.
But it's not scary like a guy with a turban.
Well, that's exactly it. Most of these deaths, Alex, are silent deaths. People dying in their beds, at home. There's no explosion, no crash to put on TV.
It's a soft kill.
It's a soft kill. And it's happening all over the country, all around the world. And the FDA is, in my opinion, the most dangerous government organization right now.
It's a eugenics operation.
You could certainly draw that conclusion because of how many people are dying and their inability to tell the truth. Even, look, here's their logic. They say that you can't label genetically modified salmon because it's no different. This is what they say. It's no different from regular salmon. Well, if it's no different, how did it get twice as big in half the time? That's different. We should know about this.
And it's not like they bred, bigger salmon together, the old-fashioned natural way to get a bigger one. That's fine. They put different genes of different animals in it.
Well, exactly, and I'm glad you brought this up.
Well, stay there. We got a break. Long segment, 18-minute segment coming up. Going to really be able to roll with all this. Mike Adams here with us, and we're going to get into the baby formula, the melamine, the mercury, the shots, the government, just every day or two, a new article. Yeah, we secretly, poison children with polio. We'll take our shots, to take our vaccines. Did you know that they're just out in the open now going, oh, yeah, we are spraying aluminum dioxide and barium salts all over the world since the mid-1990s in a secret global geoengineering program. You can see it, CBS News, ABC News. You can go to YouTube, type in John P. Holdren geoengineering, watch press conferences. What did all the chemtrail experts, Jim Keith was writing about this in like 92, before I was even on the scene. But the government says they started in the mid-90s. That's when it got widespread. And everything he said, barium salt, aluminum dioxide, and they clearly killed him. And that was a guy ahead of his time. Really knew what he was talking about, Mr. Keith. And when you look at this, you understand how incredible it is that there could be a 15-plus year secret program. And we've got the patents where they add the barium salts, aluminum dioxide to the jet fuel. The airlines don't even know. Then the patent for the engines to disperse it. And then the cover is, we're saving the earth from the sun's rays. Okay, so people 15-plus years ago tested it and said they're spraying aluminum dioxide and barium salts on you and other things. And then now the government comes out and admits that. So we are selling a video that G. Edward Griffin produced. It's very good and is the first film to come out since they admitted a lot of this. This is huge. This is huge. Chemtrails admitted. What in the world are they spraying is the name of the film. It's available at Infowars.com. We'll put it up on screen for folks so they can actually see it. But if you go to Infowars.com and click on the shopping cart link there, it'll take you to the front page, and you'll see the banner where you can buy it. If you want to get it first, you simply go to Infowars.com and pre-order it, and they'll be shipped out in the order they're received starting October 22nd. And again, the name of the film is What in the World Are They Spraying? You can also call toll-free to get it. It's 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And your purchase of the film also supports this operation, but also G. Edward Griffin and the filmmakers of What in the World Are They Spraying? The chemtrail geoengineering cover-up revealed. 888-253-3139. Or write to us at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. All right, now we're going back to the Health Ranger, and one of my sales guys pointed this out. They go, the Health Ranger really loves Interfood, and it won their Best Superfood 2009. And so, ask him what he thinks about it, but I'm putting him on the spot here. But I remember about 5 years ago, I got some of this sent to me, and I was so busy, I didn't even call them back because they wanted to be sponsors. But years later, we came back. My wife loves it. It's 2 little scoops in the morning in water or juice. You drink it, and it's 20 superfoods at once, and that way you absorb almost all of it. Even with the best vitamins and minerals, a lot of it gets passed through you. And you've got a lot of specials there on the site for Alex Jones listeners. Interfood.com or 866-762-9238, 866-762-9238, Interfood.com. And give us your brief take on Interfood.
Like you said, I did give it an award, an Editor's Choice Award. It's the real thing. And not only is the product really great, but the company's great. The people there are great. They get it. They understand nutrition. They understand what's happening with the world, and they want you to be nutritionally prepared. I mean, that's the bottom line with this product. I use it.
Well, I know my wife gets upset when she runs out.
Yeah, it's really that good.
She's a lot more health conscious than I am. I mean, I try to be. I mean, compared to the average American, I guess I'm okay, but I do have a lot of bad habits. But I noticed that when I first started taking it, I mean, it was almost like a drug or something. I mean, there's no speed, no caffeine in it, but it's almost like jolting to have real nutrients.
It makes you alert without any kind of caffeine type of buzz. No stimulants whatsoever. It just basically clears out your system, and it makes your brain and body function better. I mean, superfoods are really powerful for doing that, and with Interfood, he's combined a lot of the best ones in the world. I don't give out a lot of awards. You probably know that.
And the key is they don't pasteurize it either, so it doesn't lose the...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you've got the nutrients that are destroyed by heat. In our food, they're not destroyed. They're intact, and that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get back into the salmon because the FDA admits this is a major change. They're now getting ready to approve hundreds of different GMO crops. They're trying to force Europe to do it, despite the farmers burning down, whole areas whenever Monsanto and others try to plant it. And if they're able to put salmon on store shelves, in restaurants, everywhere, and not label it, not let you know, that's kind of like when Monsanto had their genetically engineered growth hormone in the milk. They tried to sue non-GMO milk makers for just saying we're GMO free. Like, how dare you in America put on a container that you don't have artificial hormones? How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of outrage that we should all be expressing on this issue. They did. They want you to be not just uninformed, but misinformed. Because the more you know about GMOs, the more concerned you should be about eating them yourself or feeding them to your children or family members. And right now in the U.S., 91% of the soybean fields are genetically modified soy. We have GMO sugar beets creating genetically modified sugar in this country, and that's not labeled either. All kinds of GMO corn being used in the food supply.
And every week or two I see a headline, GMO corn caused organ failure in rats. I mean, it's constant.
Yeah, there have been a lot of animal studies. Jeffrey Smith is one of the best experts on this, and he's really studied the issue, and he will tell you how dangerous this can be. I mean, we should be concerned, not only because we're not being told the truth, but also because the testing hasn't been done. Have these salmon, these genetically engineered salmon, have they ever really been tested on humans as a food source? The answer is no, and they're not about to be. Now, Alex, this could unleash the floodgates. If the FDA allows GMO salmon into the food supply, they could allow any genetically engineered animal. I mean, it could be fish, it could be genetically modified cows, pigs, chickens, or some animal that we haven't even thought of yet, something they create. They're going to play Frankenfood with animals now and approve that as a food source.
And I've had top scientists on the show, world-renowned, who ran whole biotech companies and morally said, I can't do this. In one case, a potato in England, and they found you can change that one trait to make it taste better, last longer, whatever they're looking for, but then it randomly changes thousands of other things, and then as they breed these over time, the potato strains start mutating, right. And we already have genetic pollution where they're already seeing almost no corn strain on Earth has not been infected by the GMO. We now see it getting into oak trees. We see, the German studies about the honeybees go and eat the BT corn pollen. It kills them. I mean, this is genetic Armageddon.
Well, let's talk about why this really matters. Because if you get the corn crops and the wheat crops and the soy crops all contaminated with these genetically engineered DNA, then you could have a susceptibility to a widespread viral infection throughout the crop, a plague of the crops, right? That could wipe out our crops in one season.
It's that genetic diversity that stopped that.
Exactly. So I think that these scientists, by playing God with the food supply, developing these Frankenfoods, they are setting us up for future famine, starvation, crop failures that could just devastate global population.
Yeah, they've always wanted to reduce Africa, Latin America, and Asia's population. That's on record. Once they get them to accept this, and their 90+% of, say, their corn is GMO, it gets wiped out. They're deader than a hammer, and then they don't have the seed stocks.
Right.
And they admit this is a military-style takeover of the planet. I mean, here's a quick example of trusting these people. This is just today. Okay, you have to understand, every day this is in the news. They even admit it. Here's CNN. U.S. apologizes for infecting Guatemalans with STDs in the 1940s. They always report something, 50 years old. The United States apologized Friday for a 1946-48 study that purposefully infected people in Guatemala with sexually transmitted diseases. A statement by the Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Secretary of Human Services Kathleen Sebelius called the action reprehensible. And it goes on to how they told them it was health clinics and injected them with syphilis and other things. And we know that they had cancer viruses in the polio shots. We know, every year I see articles about people being killed by the polio shots they're being given now. And it's like, oops, it was live. It was a weaponized strain. Oops. Now everybody better take the vaccine we've got or you'll die. And then suddenly their fertility goes down. And we have the Rockefeller Foundation reports that our researchers and writers have been doing a great job digging through. One great guy over in the Netherlands, he's publishing articles multiple times a week where, you know, I always think I know it all. I mean, and then I realize how much I don't know. We literally have found hundreds of Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, UN reports where they said, we're going to add this hormone to the tetanus shot, sterilize people. Then we have them caught doing it. We're going to put cancer viruses in the polio. I mean, they did it all. And that's who killed your grandma, folks. That's who killed your grandpa. And they know what they're doing. And now they've gotten to a point. In the past, they would deny all this. Now they just come out and say, hey, depleted uranium, not bad for you. They know it's going to kill the troops, not bad for you. They now have 500 mobile radiation vans just driving around beaming people. Can you speak to, from your deep research, I mean, do you agree with me that, I mean, we have the facts, that this is totally staged by design? I mean, they are trying to kill us.
Well, it's very clear, actually, the history of medical experimentation on the human race. I mean, I published a timeline of that at one point that tracks it, all the events throughout U.S. history, just U.S. history. Most of those experiments involved the military, and they would experiment on certain groups, African Americans or prisoners or people of low economic status. Typically, they would pick certain groups, they would conduct experiments on them, and these are all well documented. This isn't, you know, just pie in the sky stuff. This is all extremely well documented. And many of these researchers later were found out, and they were stripped of their licenses and so on. I mean, this stuff, it came out eventually, but like you said, 50 years later is usually the case. But they did. They sprayed the population in California with bioweapons. I mean, this goes on all the time, and they will tell you later only if they get caught. But it's happening right now with the vaccines. H1N1, swine flu vaccine. The evidence now says that those who were vaccinated against swine flu now are at greater risk of catching the next seasonal flu. So it actually weakens your immune system.
That's mainstream news. And you said all this over a year ago when it was happening.
Yes.
And now the British medical journals come out and said it was a fraud. It's dangerous. They've suspended the flu shots in England, 10 times the convulsions. Other countries, narcolepsy. I mean, this stuff's frying your brain.
Absolutely. It's a nervous system aggravating injection. It's bad for your brain. It's bad for your nervous system. And it's bad for your immune system. It makes you more susceptible to a future flu. In fact, this brings me back to the Bill Gates quote, which is, you know, he says one way to reduce, or if we do a good job on vaccines and healthcare, he says, we could reduce the world population by 10 to 15%. That's pretty close to.
Here's your article today from Natural News. Here it is.
Okay, right. So that's, here's, yeah. He says, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that, which he's talking about the world population, by perhaps 10 to 15%. Well, how do you lower the population with vaccines? You weaken people's immune systems, you make them more susceptible to future infections, and then you just wait for something to come along, or you introduce something.
They have a word for it. This is called a binary weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You've got to have both elements in place. One of them could be a wild virus, but the first element is the vaccine.
Well, now we're learning stuff in vaccines, viruses and RNA, is one of the things triggering Americans to be more obese. Not just the diet, it's that we're eating all this GMO and we're being shot up with these vaccines that are just frying us.
I think that there is an effort to diseaseify, if I could use that made-up word, to diseaseify America. And it's working.
It's a pestilence.
It is. Because they know that most Americans, they're going to spend every last dollar and they're going to give up their freedoms to try to save their lives if they're promised some kind of...
Yeah, these soft kill weapons, and I've actually seen the studies, it's designed, the stuff they're shooting you in vaccines are RNA packages, literally nanotech they've designed. That's what a virus is. It's natural nanotech. They argue, is it alive, or isn't it? But the point is, it's like a computer program that the viruses get into your cells, DNA, and mitochondrial, and it's designed that when your hormones drop, right around the time you're leaving work, right around the time that your body's starting to shut down to die over the next 20 years, we have that designed, clock in us, that's when the viruses trigger. So they discovered in the 1920s, the Rockefeller Foundation, and I have all their documents on this, what's so crazy, that they know then in their hormone test that, okay, you're done working, you've gone to menopause, or your testosterone's down, you're past 60, now that's when this stuff gets triggered, and then you get cancer and die. I mean, it's so diabolical.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you're going to spend the most money on healthcare.
Yeah, all your money you've saved goes to them.
Exactly. You work your whole life, and you end up spending every last penny, dying, suffering, and broke. Because chemotherapy creates a lot of suffering. Think about this. When people go out and they think they're raising money for cancer research, these pink ribbon runs, let's raise money for cancer. Most of that money goes to these mammogram. They have trucks with these portable radiation mammogram machines that will drive out to low-income areas of a major city, and they will irradiate women's breasts.
And they admit now it's increasing cancer.
Yes.
But imagine, no one would ever think that in the name of fighting cancer, they're out there spreading it.
They're causing it.
That's what's so genius about these people.
Oh, exactly.
No one could ever imagine that.
Well, they'll go out. They will specifically target, let's say, African-American neighborhoods. And they will essentially give breast cancer to these women. And then, because they know that these women, when they have...
Well, they now admit ultrasound's brain-damaging babies. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're exactly right. I mean, most of these screening procedures are actually causing the very diseases that they claim to detect. But they know that an African-American woman who is given breast cancer through mammography is a cash cow, so to speak. I mean, I don't mean anything derogatory by that term. That's their term. They look at that woman as a walking ATM. They can extract money from her with up to $1 million in cancer.
And the more funding they put into fighting breast cancer, the more it happens.
Exactly. And when you donate to breast cancer by buying pink products, this is an insane idea. What, you think you can cure cancer by going shopping? Come on, that doesn't work. This money goes to actually causing more breast cancer.
In fact, guys, people won't believe that. Search the term, study shows mammograms increase cancer. And it's like mainstream news.
Well, it's radiation. The story that I often reference on our site is that 10 women are harmed by mammography for every one woman that's actually helped, where they actually detect a tumor early. And
a lot of times they find, like my grandmother, they said, you've got lung cancer. And when they chopped her lung out, it wasn't cancer. It was a broken blood vessel that had made a clot.
It's very often the case. There's a lot of false diagnosis.
And then that ended up basically soft killing her. I mean, she had a hellish life for the last 10 years of her life.
Well, radiation and poison and cutting people open, this should not be called medicine, Alex. This is really a war against the American people, framed inside the context.
Well, no, that's what I figured out. Not just from the documents, I'm realizing the cell phones, the mobile trucks that are 10 times the chest x-ray, the naked body scanners, all the scientists saying it's deadly. They now tell the workers, just go up and run it. They are... Just like the Pentagon radiated 4,000 foster children to death, they're now radiating all of us and their own troops. We're all being murdered by the eugenicist and Bill Gates right now. We'll be right back. I'm going to state it again if you're a new listener. There are over 10,000 declassified reports, this is in my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, of U.S. populations, blacks, Hispanics, the military, they really hate the military, being radiated, foster children being put in chambers and fried like eggs. They would kill them instantly, or they'd give them lower dosage. They paid the Israeli government to irradiate 110,000 Sephardic children who are seen as lower class because they're dark-skinned. That's all covered in Endgame. All these governments are doing this to create cadres of scientists that will kill people. And we got secret Marine Corps reports from the Sunshine Project. They made a big fracas 10 years ago. They had to remove them, but we've covered them here. And they're still at the Google Wayback Machine archive. People can still find them, even though the Marine Corps ordered them down, where they have plans in every major city with knockout gases, but also kill gases, and helicopters in armored facilities. And now they're moving to drones, so if the pilots refuse, it won't matter, that are ready to take off. I'm not kidding. Take off and knock out entire cities or kill entire cities. Now, folks, you cannot make this stuff up. And that's why they're going to a full drone Air Force where, you know, somebody like Dick Cheney in the future, Dr. Evil, can just hit the button. We're not joking. Why would you take any vaccines or any GMO food that they pitch at you when this is their stated plan to kill you, but kill you slowly and suck all of your money out of you in the process? Mike Adams, you're going to be with us for 40 minutes in the next hour. Then I'm going to blitz news the last 20 minutes. This is a short segment. But you've covered the GMO salmon. You got a bunch of other issues you want to get into. Hit it.
Federal Trade Commission earlier this week went after the Palm Wonderful company. This is the company that makes the pomegranate juice that, you know, we've documented many of the health benefits of pomegranate juice. And by the way, I don't have any financial ties with that company, just reporting it. Pomegranate juice prevents prostate cancer. It helps prevent heart disease. It is a fantastic natural medicine from pomegranate seeds. It's very powerful.
We're supposed to eat food. Exactly. I mean, food is medicine.
That's exactly it. Well, the FTC takes an issue with the fact that this company is telling people the truth about some of the health benefits of pomegranates. And they are now claiming that this company is really engaging in criminal activity. And the FTC has done this in many cases, many times, with other companies, natural product companies. And they have forced them, they've threatened them with criminal prosecution, and they have forced them to sign what are called consent decrees. And I've seen these. I've had companies send them to me covertly. They didn't want to be on the air, but they would send them to me because they want me to know what's in these. And in these consent decrees, there is language that says you must admit to committing these crimes. And the crimes they're crimes you never even committed. They are that you have been trafficking in drugs. Because, you see, they can consider the pomegranates to be a drug according to the FDA's definition.
No, I've seen SWAT team raids on people growing just regular herbs, things like aloe vera.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, these government agencies get crazy. When you start telling people the truth about something that can prevent disease, because remember, you're denying revenue to the pharmaceutical industrial complex.
Which is the Rockefeller Mafia.
Exactly. So if you start costing them money, the government's going to come after you. And they can do that either through the FTC or the FDA, sometimes the USDA, although I got to give the USDA credit for their organic labeling program. That's actually a really good program. They've done a good job with that element. But overall, the government is attacking and destroying natural health and natural product companies.
And now they're really going after the family farms with these Senate bills saying you can't pick peaches and sell them.
Right, these food safety bills. These could turn thousands of farmers across America into criminals. And these are the people who are growing the food we're trying to get locally. You know, these are the ones growing the non-GMO food that we need to be eating. And these are the people being targeted. All
right, Mike, stay there. We're coming back live in the 4th hour. It is Friday, October 1st. Stay with us. Back in 70 seconds. It is hour number 4. If you're watching the radio show at prisonplanet.tv, we're showing screenshots of one of the great books put out by the Health Ranger, Mike Adams, here in studio with us. He's like, don't plug my books. Don't plug. I'm not here for that. But I'm going to plug them. Natural Health Solutions and the Conspiracy to Keep You from Knowing About Them. Mike Adams, America's #1 consumer health advocate. Those are available at naturalnews.com. Spam filters for your brain, how to navigate through the lies, hype, and mind games of food, drug, and cosmetic industries. Mike Adams, all available at his website. In fact, I ought to carry your books and videos at Infowars.com because I know they're amongst the best research out there. We do have Mr. Smith's material dealing with the genetic roulette and all the GMO and the rest of it. Now, this is a short segment. I want to fire the phone number out for listeners. If you have a question or a comment for Mike Adams, you won't need those headphones yet. We're going to we'll go to calls in about 10 minutes. 1-800-259-9231. 1-800-259-9231, specifically on all these major health issues that we are talking about. But they really are, Mike, trying to bully us into saying, okay, radiate me at checkpoints. Okay, don't let me know I'm eating GMO. Okay, shut down a company that shows the mainline studies that pomegranate is just full of incredible antioxidants and all this other stuff in it. But you've got a bunch of other issues that dovetail with that. Meanwhile, they're saying, feed babies GMO soy that's half sugar.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people heard about the product. It was a voluntary recall by the maker of infant formula called Similac. Here's Here's a product shot right here, Similac. And the company said, well, some of the containers may have beetles or beetle larvae in them. And I got to thinking, well, what else is in there? Because I'm not sure that the beetles are the most dangerous thing in the can.
That might be the only good thing in there. Right. Bugs are actually pretty good. The only nutritious thing in it is the beetles.
So I went out.
It's kind of like, like the prize in a Cracker Jack box is the beetle. Oh, something edible.
Exactly. Living foods, right? So anyway, I bought this, and I took a look at the ingredients label, and it just shocked me, Alex. It freaked me out. And I've seen a lot of crazy foods. But this label says, look at the number one ingredient on here. 42.6% corn syrup solids. That's number one.
But that's what a baby needs is 42.6% corn syrup, because everybody knows how good corn syrup is. What are you, some kind of conspiracy theorist?
I guess so. And on top of that, 10.1% sucrose, which is essentially table sugar.
Well, you wonder why the public's so dumb. They've been getting fed this for decades. I talk to people, and they're like zombies. Well, pretty soon, if you can tie your shoelaces, you'll be a rocket scientist.
And here's the kicker. This formula, as far as I know, and I asked around, but this formula is covered under state WIC programs. So you can use government money to feed your baby this.
Well, notice how they incentivize. You only have money, 43 million Americans on the food stamps, but it's only good for this.
Well, exactly.
You will feed them 42.6% corn syrup.
Yep. Oh, and also, what else is in here is soy protein. It's 14.7%.
Doesn't that have estrogen mimickers?
Well, there was a study done by Consumer Reports back in '99 on this brand that found evidence that it's genetically modified soy.
Oh.
And you notice there's no label that says non-GMO.
Well, that would be evil.
Right.
So, you're not allowed to know what's in there. You think you're in a free country, pal?
This is what our baby.
This is for our poor children. A baby needs 42.6% corn syrup in their diet. Come on, man.
It's crazy. It's insane.
I mean, next they'll say, "Hey, just give babies Coca-Cola."
Well, they tried that in the 70s.
Hey, wait a minute. What, guys? Go get. I guess there is no Coca-Cola in this office. Can somebody run to the store and buy a Coca-Cola so we can see what percentage of it? I would imagine that of Coca-Cola is not per volume 42.6%.
Fructose corn syrup?
Yeah, I bet this is a lot higher than a Coca-Cola.
Well, the Coca-Cola bottle is probably not going to say the percentage. It's just...
Yeah, but you can see per volume and then the grams.
No, this is extremely high in sugar.
But it's got a teddy bear on it.
Exactly. So that must mean it's safe for kids.
Look, that teddy bear looks happy.
It's crazy.
And actually, in the big studies, when they fed GMO corn to the gerbils, they did grow hair from inside their mouth. Maybe that's a good thing. In fact, it'll be a conspiracy theory if you don't have hair growing in your mouth.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, Mike, I was having some gallows humor there, joking about that baby formula powder. But look at all the scandals in Africa and Asia where you'll have tens of thousands of kids die because the government didn't mix the formula right. And, you look at children now, they admit the U.S., and you can pull up mainstream articles, the IQ's down 10 to 20 points depending on what study. And, literally, they won't hire cops under 100 IQ. They want dumb people. And I think back to being in because I have 3 children, and just reading the labels on things like Pedialyte where it's aspartame. Right. Go back over this without me making sick jokes about it. Really talk about what's in this stuff, and then the other issues you wanted to cover. Then we're going to Annie, Ruth, Tim, Diane, Jeff, and others.
Well, no, you made a good point. If you want to see some crazy stuff out in the stores, look at children's medication, over-the-counter medication for kids. It's loaded with aspartame. It's loaded with artificial colors. The cough syrups are a complete joke. Even some of the health regulators say that they don't even work, and they could actually harm your children. It's what they feed kids, what they manufacture for you to feed your kids in this country should be a crime.
Well, it's like when you go onto the store shelves and it's fluoride for your kids, yes. Back to school, baby fluoride, increased fluoride. When that reduces IQ, bone cancer, they're clearly targeting them.
Well, absolutely they are.
But go back over this loving.
Okay.
Document cam.
You said most of the stories here. I'll hold it up again. This is over 50% sugars. according to what's on the label that I'm reading right here. So 42.6% corn syrup solids, 14.7% soy protein isolate, and another 10.5% sugar. And then it's got some safflower oil, some soy.
Excuse me, it's 42.6 corn syrup, high fructose, and then there's more sugar?
Exactly. Another 10%.
So that's 52.6.
This is over 50% sugar. Now, if you want it, I mean, what mom would go into the kitchen and say, I want to mix up a recipe for my babies and throw in 50% sugar and mix it up and put that in a bottle and let their baby.
Here's some GMO soybean, honey. Here's some Roundup Ready soybean. Here's 52.6% sugar, pumpkin cake.
Now, think about this. You've got Child Protective Services in this country going after parents who will choose a living foods diet for their children.
Or if they get too much, quote, sun.
Oh, exactly. Or if you don't vaccinate your children, you're considered a bad parent. But you can feed your babies this stuff, 50% sugar, and you're a good parent.
But, I mean, let's zoom in on that, though. Folks, show the teddy bear. Why do you want to hurt the teddy bear?
Well, this is, teddy bear marketing. It's all about symbolism. It's all about image and not substance. Because I would not want to put this, Similac, Go and Grow, soy-based formula.
Well, I think it's wonderful stuff. No, I mean, really. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Oh, got the little bear there. Wants to be a little teddy. There he is. Look, he can walk. He's 14 years old and just learned how to walk. He's one of the most advanced humans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been on. I'm sorry.
No, you're right to make fun of it. And if you think about children today, they have a nature deficiency because most kids in America are vitamin D deficient. There was research that recently came out showing that microbes in the soil actually make you more intelligent. So if you go out and you play in the dirt, you're smarter than the kid that lives in a sterile environment drinking 50% sugar.
I mean, they learned that with the bubble boy. I mean, literally, I'm real clean. I take 2 showers a day. But at the same time, I mean, I'll eat a piece of pizza off the floor. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know what? I'll sometimes if I've been hunting and I'm gutting a deer, I'll just slice off I'll pull the heart out, slice up and repeat. You ever eaten raw deer heart?
No, that's not. I haven't done that, Alex.
But I'm just saying, I mean, I'm somebody who I almost never get sick unless it's allergies, and all the major studies are showing that's connected to the GMO I've eaten over my life, that triggers them.
Well, that's exactly it. You and I both have a history of some toxic foods before we sort of woke up, to what's really out there.
Before I woke up and ate those Cocoa Puffs for lunch.
Oh, man.
I'm joking.
I know you are. I didn't see a box of Cocoa Puffs here in the studio.
That's because they ate them. But
let's bring that on next time and talk about the sugar in cocoa.
I'll tell you, Jaron's the greatest example of health in this office. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but a lot of us, even people who choose a healthy lifestyle today, they have some toxicity from the past. And whose fault is this? It's this conspiracy between the government regulators and the food industries and the pharmaceutical industries that don't want you to know. They go to great lengths to keep you uninformed and misinformed.
Well, that's like, I'd tell people this 5 years ago, they didn't believe me. Now it's even CNN, but they report it like it's good. Oh, there's a type of silicone in your McNuggets and in most of your processed foods.
Right.
What's wrong with a petrochemical? You're supposed to drink crude oil.
Well, here's another example. Go out and buy blueberry bagels or blueberry bread. You'll find that most of those blueberries are not made out of blueberries. They're made out of 3 ingredients: partially hydrogenated oils, liquid sugars, and artificial food colors.
That's good for your heart.
Exactly. Right?
It's good for, look at that teddy bear. He looks good.
They should put some blueberries in the formula right here.
Along with the Beatles.
Blueberry sugar formula.
Blueberry Beatles. That could be a new brand for them.
Exactly. And some of them have propylene glycol in it, and that's the stuff that you use to winterize RVs.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's great for RVs.
Well, I mean, what about when a cat drinks antifreeze? It's good.
Yeah, wouldn't want my kids drinking it. But this is the kind of stuff that people need to know. And the FDA is going out of its way to make sure that they don't know it.
Well, you just don't care about children, Mike, being able to have that nice teddy bear.
I know. I mean, if it were up to me, Alex, I would go in. I would ban sugar infant formula for babies. I would force this off the shelves. I mean, you know, if they gave me the...
Of course, if the eugenicists to break up the family hadn't told women how cool it was to not breastfeed their babies, women have got the equipment, and guess what? It's designed just for the baby, and it gives them all that colostrum, the vaccines of every woman before that woman in history delivered to that child. Heaven forbid we drink cow milk that hasn't been boiled or pasteurized that passes on some things.
Exactly. Oh, and we haven't talked about this vaccine season. They're already pushing hard for everybody to go out and get vaccinated now. They want you to get vaccinated early.
But the teddy bear will be vaccinated.
He will. Probably he will be vaccinated along with all the kids drinking this formula.
Have you seen the kid shows where they, on PBS, what's that clip we played last year where the teacher goes, if you search the term TV pushes vaccines on kids, cartoon pushes vaccines on kids, and it's literally like demonic. It's like, you take the shot, you'll feel much better. Sorry.
I've seen some cartoons pushing vaccines. It's pretty crazy. It's kind of like, remember they used to complain about the tobacco companies using Joe Camel to sell cigarettes? Well, they're using the same thing to sell vaccines for kids.
But it was a conspiracy 40 years ago to say cigarettes gave you cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Cigarettes are good for you. And so is a diet for a baby of 52% corn syrup. Come on.
Well, I know, Alex, I didn't mean to be so unreasonable here today to suggest that babies shouldn't drink corn sugar and... Well, no, they got me using the term corn sugar. It's corn syrup solids, folks. Corn syrup solids. And fructose and sucrose. This is not stuff that babies should be drinking. They should be drinking mother's milk. And they should get sunshine.
That's a conspiracy. Literally, in the 20 years from now, if we don't stop this, it'll be a conspiracy theory that women ever breastfed.
Probably.
Yeah. It'll be a conspiracy theory that people could talk.
Well, you know, doctors today are telling women that if there's cancer in their family, they have to have a double mastectomy to prevent cancer. They are cutting off their breasts to prevent cancer in women who don't even have it. This is happening.
Instead of telling them to eat healthy food.
Instead of telling them, to breastfeed your babies, let's just lose these, take them off so that you don't get cancer. And in the meantime, we'll probably irradiate you with mammograms just in case.
But you know, I mean, to get focused on something serious, because I've been screwing around a bit. If you look at all the studies, sodium fluoride, 100% attacks all the organs, the bones, massively increases cancer, and is directly linked to breast cancer, but so is melamine, so is bisphenol A. All of this. So women wonder why they're having so many problems. I mean, because they're killing you.
Yeah, and a lot of women really don't know where it's coming from, and they're not getting information from good sources. That's why I really appreciate what you're doing here, Alex, and thanks for having me on today, too, because women especially need to know you can prevent breast cancer. Vitamin D alone, according to the research that I've seen, that I've quoted, science journals.
But Cass Sunstein says that it's a conspiracy theory to say the sun is good for you, and he says you should be basically arrested. We're not making this up. And you go, why are you talking about the sun? You don't get the real vitamin D, do you, without getting that sun?
They want you to live in caves like Osama bin Laden. That's basically...
I'm sorry, go over your research on the...
Basically, 4 out of 5 cancers can be prevented just from vitamin D alone. And if you take some magnesium, you'll have better absorption of vitamin D. Vitamin D, there are receptors for this vitamin on every major organ.
You mean we are designed to get sun?
Unbelievable. I know.
I wonder why white people have white skin, because we came from an area more north. We need to absorb more of it.
That's it. If people would just look around. And, you shouldn't be afraid of the sun. It's there for a purpose.
Yeah, and yes, folks, you will get old, and sometimes you'll get skin cancer, but the studies show you'll get more internal cancers, the ones that really kill you, if you don't get the sun. But also a lot of skin cancers, I've read the major studies, are because if you don't have the right nutrients in you, then you get sun, bye-bye.
If you have good nutrition, your chances of skin cancer drop to near zero, especially if you're doing superfoods.
Well, I'm sold. I'm an extremist, and either I'm extremely unhealthy or extremely healthy. I am going to take the path of the health ranger.
I'm happy to hear that, Alex. And you sure you don't want this Similac? Because I could leave it.
It's like they say in Caddyshack. It's like I've been with the Dalai Lama, and he's told me I will be given total consciousness at my death. Unga galunga. By the way, I talked to Jesse Ventura. He really asked the Dalai Lama, have you seen Caddyshack? We'll be right back with your phone call. Stay with us. Okay, folks, we are back live. This was run during the flu season last year on PBS Kids, where they're dancing around. The little boy's scared, but they're going to give him the shot. Here it is.
Roll up your sleeves and come and get it.
It's fun.
If I don't get the virus, I won't give it to you. If you don't give it to me, I won't give it to her. If I don't get it from her, I won't give it to them. That's true.
If I don't get the virus, I won't give it to you.
Hey kids, we're ready to roll. Stopping that virus, that's our goal. So come on everybody, we're getting the shot. It might hurt a little bit,
Just a little bit.
but it's gonna help a whole lot.
Hey kids, I'm ready to roll. Stopping that virus, that's my goal. So come on everybody, we're getting the shot. It might hurt a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Ouch, but it's gonna help a whole lot.
Hey, you didn't play it from the start where she goes, find them. And notice it's all, so the little kid, he gets to be cool with the older kids because he gets the shot. It turns out it reduced his immunity, makes him doubly susceptible to the regular seasonal flu. Mainstream news admits that. And it was all a fraud, and it increases his seizure rate by 10 times and gives him all sorts of brain damage. All admitted, we were right about that again, but it's so much fun. Did we find the part where she laughs like a goblin? Okay, well, while we're looking for that, to find that key area there where the children are being learned to be injected, remember, CNN... U.S. apologizes for infecting Guatemalans with STDs, gave thousands of them. In one operation, 1,600 people, they injected them with syphilis, telling them they were giving them a vaccine. It might hurt a little, but it's going to help a whole lot.
You know, that cartoon should say, these kids are the medical experiment for today. Because that's what they're doing. That's a medical experiment.
But she's happy. I mean, she sounds like Dr. Frankenstein. Here it is.
Kids, we're ready to roll. Stopping that virus, that's our goal. So come on, everybody, we're getting the shot. It might hurt a little bit,
Just a little bit.
but it's gonna help a whole lot.
This vaccination.
That's a little enjoyment. That's a little inside joke. It's going to help a whole lot. Oh, yes.
It is an inside joke. If they really wanted to help those kids, Alex, they'd be handing out vitamin D supplements or fish oil supplements or just letting them go outside and play.
They'd have them in the creek catching tadpoles.
They do something other than...
They don't allow nationwide dodgeball or chase or any type of exertion, no.
There was a study recently, Alex, that said 95% of Americans never do anything that requires exertion. Only 5%. So the most exercise some people get is walking across the parking lot to go buy their pharmaceuticals. Or maybe they just go through the drive-thru to get them now. You've got drive-thru pharmacies.
I think I'm going to swim 2,000 yards today.
I'll join you.
Really, want to go?
Yeah, let's go.
We go to the lake, swim across it.
I'm good.
I'm going to do that Saturday.
Okay.
How long you here in town?
Well, I don't want to say that on the air, Alex, but I'll go with you.
That's right. You got the spooks after you, huh?
Well, when us truth tellers have to be careful about who knows where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I had people...
the bad guys got to be careful if they find me.
I'm sure that's the case. Yes. But it's true. They don't want us to be able to educate people about these things because when people wake up and start thinking, and there are a lot of great, well-informed people out there who are on top of the situation. And when we connect with those people and empower them with additional information, and sometimes they'll send us tips, right? You get tips from people, I do too. Then that creates a feedback loop of knowledge. And knowledge is dangerous to the system that's trying to run.
Well, you're also very credible. You're very credible. I want to quit hogging you. Let's go to some phone calls, and we're going to have him most of the next segment, folks, as well. It's so good to meet you in person.
It's really great to be here and to see you, Alex.
I've been interviewing you for, 6-7 years?
It's been a number of years. We've always done it over the phone, and that's fine. But here in person, we can actually have more fun. You know what? I'll bring more baby food next time.
Actually, I'm kind of hungry right now. Is there a beetle in that? Let's go ahead and talk to Annie in Indiana. Annie, you're on the air.
Good afternoon. It's a great show today, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a question for you, Mike. I believe I've already seen you on YouTube as the Health Ranger.
Yeah,
Are you on?
probably so.
Yeah, he's not wearing his little black disguise like the Lone Ranger today, and Tonto's not here with him. But yeah, no, he's out of disguise.
Oh gosh. And I have a question. I have a big red dog, 90 pounds. She looks like a red lab. I call her Red Dog. Except for the big Cliffette, the big red dog. Like most red-haired humans, she has skin allergies, and she's allergic to flea bite. She's constantly biting and chewing on herself. And I'm starting to realize it's possibly the GMO dry dog food I've been feeding her.
Well, stay there. I'm gonna, because I haven't done a lot of research on mainline dog food. I'll tell you about it on the other side, and we'll get the Health Ranger. We'll get his take on it. We are the Heart of the Resistance, biggest alternative news websites in the world, most powerful alternative radio show on the planet, and we've got the #1 advocate, hands down, for true healthy living and exposing this eugenics takeover, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, here with us. Now, I'm going to run through 5 calls quickly, because I do want to hear from you. But I need to get to some breaking news. Remember, ABC website tells kids when they should die. That's news.com.au. And kids are taught in cartoons and on the ABC website that animals are dying if they don't commit suicide. And you've seen families shoot themselves, shoot their baby. Now, that happened in South America. The guy take over Discovery Channel. And they're now saying all over the news, they're calling it eco-fascism. And this is why I criticize Avatar. They take a real message that we're in trouble. And their answer is, keep eating GMO, but we need to tax carbon dioxide that plants breathe. So they're taking over people's reasonable concerns and co-opting it, kind of like Glenn Beck does to conservatives and libertarians. Sure. That's how they dominate and control things. But ABC News website tells kids when they should die. Dillingpole, the London Telegraph, they have a new TV ad. It's 4 minutes long, where kids are basically taught how great it is to lower their carbon footprint if they would just die. It's very gruesome. I want to warn people that are watching on prisonplanet.tv, but this is what kids are being shown. Go green or we'll kill your kids, says Richard Curtis, eco-propaganda shocker. And so I wanted to go over the fact that that's one reason a lot of kids are committing suicide now, and they cite, I'm doing this for Earth. But let's go back to Annie. Annie in Indiana, they call it awful. They take the intestines, the things they can't put in hot dogs. They take dead animals. A lot of veterinarian clinics sell, this is mainstream news, sell your dead dogs and cats, and they grind them up, and then that's what's fed to your dog. And so if you think humans are being fed bad stuff, the dog can't talk. That's why most dogs don't want to eat dog food, or if they've ever been given real food. And, it's just better if you're going to have a dog to cook for them. That's what we do. And there are some smaller dog food brands out there that are healthier. But do you want to comment on what she's talking about, her animal having allergies because of GMO diet it's eating?
Well, I think she's on the right track. Everything you said is right on, Alex. You can't go with mainstream dog food brands. But I appreciate the fact that Annie is paying attention to the health of her dog. If parents did that with their babies, not just with their pets, but their kids as well, I'm sure Annie pays attention to her children's health if she has children. But if more parents around the country would pay attention to their children's health and get them on healthy food, then we would be better off as a country. We'd be more productive. We would live longer. We'd have greater happiness, greater health.
That's extremist.
I know. I admit it.
Look, feeding a baby 52% corn syrup is good. Annie, does that answer your question?
Yes, and I was hoping you could maybe comment in any nutrients like omega-3s. And I have heard brand names of the Honest Kitchen and Newman's Own for dry dog foods. I can't find any that will sell wholesale, and I'm trying to find them locally in the stores.
Both of those brands are really good. Honest Kitchen's good. Lisa Newman's brand is really good. Asmira is a good brand. But omega-3s and fish oils are really, really healthy for pets, just as they are for humans.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Annie. Ruth in Louisiana, you're on the air with the Health Ranger.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Ruth.
How you doing? Look, I have a question for Mike. I have chronic migraines. I'm looking into chelation to get the mercury out of my system because I used to have a whole bunch of silver fillings. But I wanted to do it naturally, and I was looking up like chlorella and cilantro to see whether or not that could bind from the mercury of flushing it out of my system.
Cilantro,
So
an herb that grows in the yard? That's evil.
Well, she's on the right track. Cilantro is really great.
Yeah.
It binds with mercury, and just as chlorella does.
Well, that's good because I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. But you're on the right track there, Ruth. But I do want to say I'm not a doctor, and so I can't offer a diagnosis. However, there are some great naturopaths who are well aware of mercury poisoning detox systems that work, and they do involve some of the nutrients that you already mentioned.
Anything else, Ruth?
Is there a certain site that I could go to that you'd feel that would be better than others?
Well, I would just look for organic chlorella. It's out there. It's on many retailer sites. Just Google it. Find a source that you trust and buy organic.
Yeah, I mean, if you find a site and you're not sure, just put the name of their site or their product in and do consumer reviews. And Angie's List, I mean, a lot of times if something's good, you'll see positive reviews. But if something's bad, you know you're going to see stuff about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's okay if I plug a couple of companies that I know, Alex.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, then John Barron's Baseline Nutritionals is a really good source for detox, as well as Ed Group's GlobalHealingCenter.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruth. Hope that helps you. Let's talk to Tim in Nevada. Tim, you're on the air with the Health Ranger.
Hey, Alex. This is the former TSA guy that talked to you the other day.
Yeah, and I've since confirmed that they're calling them in with questionnaires.
Didn't I tell you? I told you.
No, you told us, but then I went and actually did some research and saw others complaining about it, that they're laying off TSA, firing them. They call them in and say, do you mind running the body scanners? Do you have a concern with radiation? And if you're smart and say, yeah, I do, they go, thank you.
See ya.
Here's your pink slip.
Right.
We'll find somebody who's stupid. What's on your mind, Tim?
You guys are having an awesome show today. I just wanted to call in and tell Mike and you, Alex, I've educated my son so well. He's 13 years old now. I had him when I was in high school, and he just does not, like all the things that's going on, but he really loves you guys. He knows everything about GMO, vaccines, high fructose corn syrup, everything, and it's all due to you guys and me, his dad, and he just, every day that I go to see him, he's like, Dad, did you watch Alex's show today? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? He even knows so much about GMO crops that he knows. He watched the film about how to, he watched the film on your channel on how to find GMO foods in the stores by product numbers. This kid is so smart.
Wow, I mean, it sounds like he may be some kind of extremist, that he reads labels.
That is pretty extreme. That's awesome.
My brother's son is almost 3 years old, and he's having problems with speaking right now, and that just goes to prove what Alex is saying about, the conspiracy theory of the future of, oh my God, if human beings can actually speak, that's a conspiracy theory. So, the kid's 3 years old. He's a healthy baby. There's never really been anything wrong with him, but maybe some of the vaccinations that my brother gave him that I tried to ward him against, and some of the GMO foods and some of the chemicals.
No, I mean, listen, the IQ's dropping. And children that have been vaccinated, and they're piling more and more on. I mean, they admitted Gardasil was killing girls that took it in the trials, and they just approved it, and a bunch of people died, and it goes on the news, crying mothers and dead cheerleaders, and the government just says that's the way it is. Hey, you're dying of DU? Good. Go die.
I just want to say good job being a parent, Tim, because I think your child and children from parents like you are going to represent the future of the human race. Future of civilization is going to be in their hands. Kids who can think, kids who can stay healthy, who can...
But they know we're getting away from their systems, so they're now coming out with mobile X-rayers where the cops are literally going to taser you if you don't walk through their radiation machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure evil. It's total insanity. God bless you, Tim. Moving quick here. Diane in Texas, you're on the air.
Hey, guys, great show. Mike, I get your newsletter every morning and absolutely love it. I have a question about water. We're going to be building a house. It'll be in a rural area, and so I have the option of a well or a rainwater catchment system or the, not the city water, but the county water line with a whole house filter.
Uh-huh.
And, now with all the chemtrails and the Gulf cleanup oil toxins in the air, what is your better choice for
whatever
clean
you
water?
do, you filter it.
Well, absolutely. I would find a neighbor who's got a well, ask if you can test their water. If that test's clean and free of pesticides, then drill a well, because that's a source that you can control. And you can't control what's in the air, and that could affect catchment systems. And you obviously can't control what comes out of the county or city water systems. And you can't really guarantee that those are going to work in the case of an infrastructure failure, whether it's short-term or long-term. So I would go with a well, go with a DC pump that's solarized, so you can drive it with the sun.
Now, Diane, don't listen to him. I recommend, we're going to give you a document cam shot of this. We have Ozarka fluoridated water for kids, and then we have HEB with added fluoride for children. And I'm going to show folks a document cam shot of that. Do not listen to him. Don't filter your water. The government tens of thousands of times has killed people in secret tests, put cancer viruses in vaccines, CNN News Today. Trust them. I mean, you know, when they... It doesn't matter if all the studies show this massively increases cancer. Listen, don't listen. Trust the government. Trust these good companies. Drink fluoride, ma'am. I appreciate your call. What? I mean, come on.
Awesome. Well,
I mean, this is sick. Telling people to have well water.
Maybe they're going to
stop a freak. Hold on. What kind of a freak are you?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. Our babies should have clean water, breast milk, sunshine.
No. Dirt. 52% corn syrup and fluoride.
I say more dirt, Alex.
Hey, listen, roach poison is many brands are part fluoride. That's obviously for a baby. Come on, man.
You got to do a whole...
Our kids deserve more.
Well, they're going to get more, because next time...
Next you're going to tell me...
I'm going to bring some more...
Next you're going to tell me that 10 times a chest x-ray, that's what they have with these mobile vans looking through your wall, is A, bad for you, and B, a violation of the Fourth Amendment says mobile radiation vans will look through your walls. That's freedom. I have a right to be surveilled on the toilet.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Totally sick.
Yeah.
See, I'm starting to like this. I'm going to start seeing from their view.
We could do that show, actually.
What's wrong with some of these troops complaining about experimental shots being given to them? What's wrong with people? It's wrong to tell troops that DU has a 4.5 or 5.5 billion year half-life and it kills them. And that's good. Dying is good. What's wrong with you people?
You play the FTC and the FDA, and I'll be the health ranger, and we'll do a show. We'll do a show about supplements or health.
Yeah, let's do it in about a month, and you can be over the phone. I got to play this video, and then we're going to have to say bye to you at the end of it, because I'm coming back with some financial news in the last segment, but it's been amazing. This is Go Green or We'll Kill Your Kids, says Richard Curtis, eco-propaganda shocker, and they have released a new video. And this is like the UT scientist saying he wants everybody to be killed by airborne Ebola. There's some of that in there. And here's another one. ABC website tells kids when they should die to save the earth. So just everywhere they're teaching people how to kill themselves, but then they want to put your kid on Prozac to stop them committing suicide, but the Prozac insert says it causes suicide. But see, I'm mentally ill because I notice all this. Okay, let's go ahead and play this clip. Now, watch out, folks. This is violent if you're watching on prisonplanet.tv. I'll be giving radio listeners play-by-play. Here it is.
Right, kids, just before you go, there's a brilliant idea in the air that I'd like to run by you. Now, it's called 10-10. The idea is everyone starts cutting their carbon emissions by 10%. Thus, keeping the planet safe for everyone, eventually. Now, this hasn't got to be a huge thing, but I would love it if you and your families would think about doing something.
What sort of thing, miss?
Well, like getting your dad to insulate the loft, or taking your next holiday by train instead of flying, or buying energy-saving light bulbs.
We're thinking of using our car less. I'm going to cycle to school.
That's fantastic, Jemima. Now, no pressure at all, but it'd be great to get a sense of how many of you might do this. Just a rough percentage. That's fantastic. And those not? Philip and Tracy. That's fine, that's absolutely fine. Your own choice. Okay, class, thank you so much for today, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Oh, they're not going to cut, so they're going to die.
Oh, just before you go, I just need to press this little button here.
The kids that didn't do it.
Please remember to read chapters 5 and 6 on volcanoes and glaciation.
She
Except
murdered
for
the
Felipe
children.
Tracy, of course.
Right, just want to check on that 10-10 thing. Had some brilliant ideas from lots of you, how the firm can cut down emissions by 10%. Just quick show of hands, everyone who wants to get involved.
And if you don't, they kill you.
That's nearly everybody.
And they're now announcing, top scientists, they want to start killing us.
New pressure.
And now they're just open, saying, yeah, we want to kill people. There's too many people. I mean, the folks, they don't raise their hand.
No problem. Your choice. Okay, so those of you planning something here or at home should probably get working on it. Oh, gorgeous. Those of you who aren't...
Kills them. Of course, they're already killing you with the vaccines and the GMO.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Little control freaks. They enjoy killing. It's their power trip. It's their religion.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be back here at Spurs. So many happy memories for me.
Now they're on a soccer field. They're going to kill top footballers if they don't agree.
10-10 thing the club is doing.
Well, it means that we're trying to cut our carbon emissions
and
by
they've
10%
announced
this year.
They're saying we are eco-fascists. We're going to kill you if you don't do what we say.
Change the floodlights at White Hart Lane, so they're low energy. Lots of our fans are coming to matches on buses, trains, bikes and stuff, rather than coming by car.
I see. Whatever, I wouldn't do it. It seems like distraction from football to me.
That's just fine, David. You don't have to join in. Just ignore it. No pressure.
So they kill him.
Right, lads. Let's do some penalties.
And see, this desensitizes you for mass death.
10-10. Hundreds of thousands of people, schools, businesses, hospitals, movie stars, knitting circles, scout troops, presidents and governments, all tackling climate change in more than 40 countries.
So the message is, we're going to kill you. But see, these little sneaky slime bags, they don't come and blow you up unless you're an Iraqi. They just put it in your food and your water. And that's what these scientific control freaks love, the enjoyment. And they had a big meeting with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett with the Chinese leadership where they all gave money for eugenics this week. Health Ranger, in closing, what'd you think of that?
Well, that's pretty shocking. I haven't seen that clip until today. In my mind, 10-10, I thought that was the non-GMO day. Because that's what we're gearing up for, 10-10, October 10th.
And by the way, before I forget, tell Watson to get this up right now. Tell Watson to get this, but see, they move all the good non-GMO stuff under this umbrella to sell it. But Watson, everybody, get that video on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com right now.
But I got to say, you know, I try to live in a sustainable way. I try to live in a green way myself personally, but I don't want someone threatening me to do...
No, but see, the globalists control every movement. They come in and poison and kill and destroy and then say carbon dioxide, which is taxes to them. And you wrote about Bill Gates saying we've got to get rid of humans to lower carbon.
That's exactly, it's his formula. It's a mathematical formula that he has out there that these globalists have. You've got to reduce the population in their minds to reduce...
Well, that's the overall message, is kill people to lower carbon.
It is. That is. It's very clear now. I mean, we're not even...
Now you know why I gave a bad review of Avatar. Because it sells a lot of good ideas, but then with bad ones, and then we sent you info about Mr. Cameron, didn't we?
You did. I didn't know that about James Cameron. Some of that info shocked me.
Tell folks what you learned. He's a big globalist.
Well, it just goes to show, you know, that we can always learn from each other. And that's why I think it's good it's great to be here in person. We can share some ideas. But, you know, some of Cameron's views I thought were very much against what I believe, which is individual freedom. I believe in the U.S. Constitution.
Oh, he wants tyranny.
It seems from the information you sent me that he leans in that direction.
Well, at the end of the movie, they have a military coup, and the humans are bad, but other humans join in, and they say, go back to your planet and die. The message is, we're going to kill you. But meanwhile, all the big environmentalists now are up on C-SPAN praising the GMO fish. Real things that hurt the biosphere and hurt the real integrity of the planet. No, that's not a problem. It's carbon dioxide, because it's the part of the carbon cycle. If they tax that, they control it all.
Yeah, they're way off track, because the real threat to the environment is the GMO crops. It is the pharmaceuticals that are destroying, I mean, polluting the water supplies, the HRT drugs.
The shrimp are committing suicide now. Did you see where they just swim up to fish? ABC News, New Scientist.
Oh, because their nervous systems are all whacked.
Yeah, they
can't protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the truth is we're poisoning the whole planet through pharmaceuticals that are going through our bodies, and actually through dental care. You know, there are many thousands of tons of mercury just being washed downstream from modern dentistry, and it's still legal to put mercury in a baby's mouth as long as you call it dentistry. And it's still legal to feed them this fluoride water.
Yeah, no. Everybody knows there's problems in the environment. They take that common sense and use it, and the Rockefellers are true trailblazers of evil. Over 100 years ago, they created the national parks. This is on record. This is on PBS. They created the conservation, the modern conservation movement as a way to steal property, control people. But then meanwhile, they're involved in the most environmentally destructive things imaginable. Right. So they only use it to shut off their competition. There it is, shrimp on Prozac commit suicide. Study finds that shrimp swimming in Prozac-contaminated water tend to swim towards the light, making them easier prey, and they don't even care about birds and other fish eating them.
Well, it's not surprising that these pharmaceuticals, especially these psychiatric or psychotropic drugs, imbalance our brain function. And now they're trying to say it's your genes. Study just a couple of days ago said ADHD. They now say, oh, it's caused by your genes.
Well, mercury in the shots they admit is actually changing our DNA.
Well, exactly. And in fact, it's the drugs that children are being given for ADHD that cause their brains not to grow as well, so they have smaller physical brains.
That's admitted.
Exactly. That shows up on the...
Look, they give us rat poison in the name of it being good, and in almost every statistic, once they get you on Prozac or Adderall or any of these drugs, then you get on more and more until you're a zombie. And the pharmaceutical companies love targeting wealthy people and middle-class people's kids because they got a big checkbook and insurance. And a wonderful, enlightened child who throws a fit when they're 12, 20 years later is literally a zombie talking to themselves on the street corner. I've gone up and talked to these people. I found out their backstories, and they are just complete brain-dead zombies.
Zombie is exactly the right word. Sometimes I've used the word drone, but zombie's perfect because their brain function has been suppressed. Sometimes you can heal them with superfoods and natural substances.
You can reverse some of it.
Exactly.
You can reverse the brain inflammation.
Exactly.
Listen, we've had you for almost 2 hours. I want to say bye to you at the end of the show, but I've got to end it here with some financial news. Please don't leave, you and your lovely wife. I want to say bye to you and also do a quick interview for an upcoming film. I appreciate you coming in. And we're going to eat some pork chops and gravy here in just a minute.
Is that right?
But Mike Adams, thank you for coming in.
Always my pleasure, Alex.
You bet. Naturalnews.com. God bless you.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be here.
You bet. Good to have you here with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, there goes the Health Ranger. This is a 4-hour transmission today. I'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m., and I hope you enjoyed that transmission. Very informative, very scary, but we did try to have some gallows humor to all of it. That video, Go Green or We'll Kill Your Kids, says Richard Curtis, eco-propaganda shocker. Paul Watson's getting this up at prisonplanet.com. Matt Ryan's getting it up at Infowars.com, the video right now. And we're going to dovetail it with ABC website tells kids when they should die. I planned to do a video 2 weeks ago on this and never did it, about how they're training people to commit suicide. I've got to get that video shot today so it can go up next week because this whole agenda is coming out in the open with the eco-fascists.